Hello and welcome to the demonstration portion of the Career Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Roten, and I'm here with John Shields from Jobscan. John is the content manager at Jobscan, and he's going to walk us through Jobscan's product today. But before we get into that, I want to give a quick reminder. If you've not yet listened to my conversation with Jobscan CEO, James Hu, I encourage you to head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast player happens to be, and check that out. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the demo now over to John. John, welcome to the Career Tech Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm happy to share Jobscan with a few more people here.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. I tell you what, while you go ahead and share your screen, I just want to give a little bit of background. Obviously, I've already spoken with James, but I came across your product when I was working with some career coaches who told me that Jobscan is like one of the things that they use in order, with their clients. So if they're doing, say, a LinkedIn profile update, or if they're doing a resume update with one of their clients, one of the last steps that they'll do is they'll put the product through, or they'll put the resume or LinkedIn through your product to make sure that they've got it optimized the right way, which I thought was really pretty cool.
Yeah. I think what's great about Jobscan is it works, directly for job seekers, but it's also a really great kind of finishing touch for career coaches, resume writers, career professionals in that way.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was really cool. I tried it out a few times. James and I had a really great conversation about it, so I'm really glad that you're here to kind of really walk us through what the product is. So we go to get started, we go to jobscan.co, and what we see on the screen now is what we'll get when we get there. So where do we go now if we want to give your product a try?
Sure. If you're here for the very first time, this is the homepage that you'll be seeing. And you just scroll down, midway through, you've got some explainer copy there if you need to, get a little bit of explanation. But this is the base of the tool here for the resume optimization portion. So it's really simple. Basically, on the left side, you just either paste or upload your resume. And then on the right side, just paste in a job description that you want to apply for. If you upload your resume, you'll get a few additional checks that Jobscan can check for. So if you're able to download your resume and upload it, that's going to be a better option than just pasting it. But sometimes pasting is a little more convenient for people.
If I can interrupt you real quick, if I choose to upload my resume, is there a format that's preferred?
Sure, and that's one of the checks that we look for when you do upload it. Preferably, we like to see docx or PDF formats. Those are going to be the most universal formats for especially modern ATS applicant tracking systems.
Okay, cool.
All right, so simple as that. You upload and paste. I'll just hit the sample button here to get us started. And if you are really unsure what to do, trying that sample out is a good way to start here.
Okay.
And then if you do the sample, you'll also have this walkthrough. It'll take you through all of the different sections. I'll skip that for now. And why don't I show you a more specific example as well. So I'm going to flip over here to my account. And this is once you sign up for Jobscan, sign up for a free account or a premium account, this is what you'll be greeted with when you go to jobscan.co. And it's just a dashboard. We've got some resources up here. You have some of your recent activity down here that you can revisit. And then, the familiar tool here at the bottom. So let me put in a real example here. I will upload a resume I got ready. And then for the job description, you go online, here's a content position that I might be qualified for. And what we want to do is copy everything from the job title all the way down through the qualifications. And you can cut out any of this boilerplate stuff that's at the bottom of a lot of job descriptions, but just get through all the end of the skills, copy that, and it looks like I already have it in there, but paste in there. I think I have multiple windows open here. one.
No, it's fine.
All
but
right,
it's pretty simple. Right? It's literally copy and paste. Resume one side, job description the other side.
That's right. Yep. So I've got my resume here on the left. I got my job description on the right, and I'll hit scan.
So right now it's going through your algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
and you've got obviously set up for things and that, and so this is what it's going to display for us. So now what, just at a high level, what's this telling me, right? So 24%, what does that mean?
Sure. So this gives you an overview of how well your resume, as you have it, matches up with the job. So the match rate in particular here at the top is going to be mostly about your resume keywords, your skills, if you have the same skills that are in the job description in your resume. And then up here, we also have a brief overview of some of the other sections of the report. This is actually a new view that we're testing out. So users right now might get a couple of different variations of this. But you can see we have our ATS findings here. We have some recruiter checks that are, beyond the actual applicant tracking system algorithms, things recruiters want to see. And then we have our skills match, which you can see that's where I'm lacking here in this example. And then we also have cover letter checks here, which is a premium feature. It just does the same thing with your cover letter as what we're doing with the resume.
Can you give me, like under the recruiter findings, can you give me like one of the things that they would check for that you're looking for, or is that part of your algorithm and you can't tell me?
Sure, I could just jump down here and we could take a look. So some of the things in the recruiter findings section are going to be word count, making sure you don't have an overly long resume. We've got some measurable results here. You can see that our Jobscan is looking for making sure you have those results that communicate how you provide value, not just your duties, for your everyday job. You could even, if you click here, you can see the examples that are found in the resume.
Oh, so it's pulling it right out of the resume then.
Yep, these are examples from my resume here.
Okay.
We also have sentence length, making sure you don't have these big long run-on sentences. We're looking for that now. This is a new check. Also some words to avoid. We want to try to avoid those buzzwords like team player. Those empty words that are not really propelling your candidacy.
Okay. Yeah. So now, if I had one of those buzzwords in there, would it show me in that area what that buzzword was?
Sure. Yeah, I could even do a quick update here if I put a team player
okay.
in my resume, and you can see you could update your resume right here on the left with that button.
Yeah, that's pretty slick.
Now, if we scroll back down to the recruiter checks, you can see
it is.
We found a negative phrase here. So those will all be listed there. Below that, we also have some kind of additional checks. So these ones above are going to be your core kind of checks for most users. Then we also have some bonus ones down here that will be dependent on what we find in your resume. So this is showing that I did a good job listing my LinkedIn profile in there. Recruiters want to see that these days. And then also shows that I have some skills that align well with a position that aren't necessarily part of the job description. And that's generally a good thing. You don't want to go too far off the rails, but if you can, show that you have that depth, that industry expertise, that is generally valuable.
Right. I would assume as the content manager, being highly matched in industries for writing and editing is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good sign for my career going forward.
Right.
I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit here, go back up.
Sure.
So we also have the ATS findings section. Leads off here with an overview of the skills. I'm lacking some really important skills here, but we'll get into that a little later. Job title match is a big one. So recruiters, when they go into these applicant tracking systems, one of the very first things they're going to be searching for is that job title exactly, because they want people that have done the job before. So sure. I have content writer in my resume. That's a good sign.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make sense if you're applying for a digital marketer job and you don't even have digital marketer listed anywhere in your resume, right?
Right. That's a good way to kind of slip through the cracks. Yeah.
Okay.
This job listing doesn't specify a degree, so no worries there. If it did, specify a bachelor's degree or master's degree, Jobscan would check that and check your resume and make sure those are matching up.
Okay.
ATS tip is where we could put in the company and the URL for the job posting, and if it's in our system, we'll give these additional ATS specific tips. So I don't think this job qualifies for it, but for example, if we put in a Starbucks job and put in a Taleo URL, we would have a list of custom tips there that, some bonus things you could do to your resume to make sure you're not getting hung up on any of those algorithms for a system like Taleo that is a little outdated, a little clunky.
Right, but Taleo is also one of the most popular ATS systems that's out there, right?
It is the most popular system that's out there, especially among larger enterprises. So yeah, Starbucks, off the top of my head, I think Nike uses Taleo, a few other really large Fortune 500 type companies.
Okay.
So continuing on from there, we have section headings check. This is a new one for us. This is just making sure that the ATS algorithm will be able to recognize your different sections. So for example, we want to see some really clear, really basic sections like work history or education or history, work experience, things like that, because some of these ATS are programmed to look for those and then parse that data into an applicant profile. And if it can't find the right sections and can't figure out what belongs to what section, some of your information in your resume might not make that jump, and then you're coming up short on recruiter searches. You give them something that's a little hard to digest and look at. So this is a check where we're making sure that your resume is organized in a way that these algorithms will be able to figure out. Then next we have this file type. You alluded to this earlier. So I uploaded a docx. This is the what we recommend is the best type of file to use for your resume. And we have some other checks in here about special characters and keeping the file name short. File name is usually not going to make or break your candidacy, but it is displayed in a lot of applicant tracking systems, so they'll see what the file is named. So if you just type in a bunch of gibberish,
upload the resume that's labeled for the last company that you applied for,
right? Something like that. So we advise just put your name in there. John Shields, content writer, resume, like something short, sweet, professional. Putting your name in there is another way to keep your name front of mind for the recruiter as well if they're using one of those applicant tracking systems. Date formatting is another one here for parsability when it comes to an applicant tracking system analyzing your resume and bringing that information into a candidate profile. Because a lot of these instances that the recruiters aren't actually looking at the resume, they're looking at whatever their applicant tracking system is outputting. So this is checking for some of the most common date formats. So for example, we want to see, I think the ideal format is, month / 4-digit year. So 02/2014 through, 08/2016, rather than, putting a full date in there. Or we've seen some pretty wacky things people try to do with the dates. Putting just a year is also a red flag for some recruiters. So this is a check to make sure that we're hitting some of those marks. And consistency is a big one here. You want to, whatever date formatting you choose, keep it consistent all the way through.
So my understanding too is that ATS will actually use the dates to calculate the time you've been in a role or with a company, correct?
Yeah, some systems are starting to do that, we've noticed. There are some instances where if you put in just a year, it'll default to January 1st, right? And that could really mess up your calculations for how long you've been in a role, things like that. So being able to properly communicate, your work experience and show recruiters, whether it's about the ATS algorithm or just a recruiter looking at your resume, clarity, making it very easy to understand where you've been, what you've done, what you've accomplished is paramount. So we just want to make sure that whether it's a ATS algorithm or a recruiter glancing over it, that they understand what's going on, like that. They don't have to, sort through it because oftentimes they have so many candidates that they won't bother doing that. So, all right, so I'm going to skip down past the recruiter checks again, and we get to our hard skills section. This is kind of the meat of the match report. What we want to do is, again, both in terms of applicant tracking system algorithm and just a recruiter looking over your resume, we want to make sure that as much of that language from the job description is found in your resume. So from an applicant tracking system standpoint, this has to do with your search results and your ranking algorithms. Something like Taleo, they have a feature called RecRank where it will automatically compare your resume to the job description, to the words that are in the job description, and then rank the candidates based on how well that's matched. So we want to make sure that those key phrases, those key words in the job description are found in the resume. So for my example here, we see that this position was a content writer position, but it was specifically to write for design concepts, things like that. So I only have 2 mentions of the word design. That would be a good thing to kind of beef up in my resume. Writing seems like a big one for a content writer. I only have 1 mention here, 8 versus 8 mentions in the job description. That would be a really big one. Yeah. We also have a feature here called variations. So we really want to see people adding in the exact variation of a word. So if it's writing in the job description, we want to see writing in the resume. But there are, you'll be close sometimes. So if you click on this little icon here, you can see some of the similar words that are in the resume that you might be able to change. So we got writer, we have writers, things like that. I might be able to change to writing to get a better match. So we continue down. You can see a few different phrases here that would be good for me to add into my job description or into my resume, excuse me. The red X's show that I don't even have those words at all. So documentation, writing documentation is important for this job. I need to show that a little better in my resume. Then here in the orange, we have what we call predicted skills. These are based on machine learning algorithms. We analyze our big database of job descriptions and resumes to find skills that weren't on the job description, but probably should have been. So this helps fill a few gaps. For example, if the person doing the searching in the applicant tracking system isn't the one that wrote the job description, there might be a disconnect there. Or it can also just show, your industry expertise and show that you have a wider skill set than some of the other candidates coming in. So based on this job description, Jobscan thinks that I should probably add editing, which I have, but maybe add it a few more times. And then journalism would be another really good one for this position. Hard skills are where you want to spend most of your time as you're updating your resume. This is going to be the biggest difference in your match report, or your match percentage at the top of this report. Continuing down, we have soft skills here. We label this as medium importance. A recruiter probably isn't going to be searching for soft skills when they're sourcing their initial candidates, but soft skills are mentioned in the job description, and it's important to show that you are able to do those things. So some of the examples here: creative, following best practices, being able to collaborate. Those are things that I should probably try to communicate in my resume, if at all possible. Or if not in my resume, maybe my cover letter, or if I get to the interview stage, focus on those things. And as we continue down, we have some bonus things here, other keywords. This will often be company-specific words. These aren't the best examples here for this job, but it could be words that keep popping up. This is more of the word cloud thing, where it's not necessarily an approved skill, but it's something that they kept talking about in the job description. So maybe you want to keep those in mind as you write your resume, as you talk to the company.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, for this particular one that we threw in there, right, wanting to say somewhere that you do writing in the customer voice, for example.
Right. That's a great example.
Writing from above, and you get voice as a keyword.
Right. And these aren't really going to affect your match rate, but they're just some additional things to think about. Now, once we get to the very bottom here of the match report, this is a pretty cool section. This is some job recommendations based on either your resume or the job description. So rather than when you go to Indeed to search for a job, you're probably putting in your job title. That's what most people do. But your skills apply to a lot, a broader set of jobs. And so what this section does is compare your resume, the keywords in your resume, to all jobs on Indeed, to bring out some other ones that you might not have caught before. So you see kind of the range of jobs here that I might be qualified for, from junior editor, copywriter, communications manager, book editor, things that I might not have plugged into Indeed when I was looking for a job.
That's really cool, because what are the odds that you're going to find, as you go searching, that you're going to find exactly those? You know what I mean?
Right. You'd have to know to look for it, really. And companies, it might be the exact same job in a lot of cases, but companies just call them different things. So it might be, for my example, it might be a content writer, or it might be a content producer, or a content creator. Those are all common job titles for the exact same thing, basically. So this helps you kind of jump that hurdle and find some jobs that you might not have noticed before, and really up your chances.
I like this. This is really cool.
Yeah, and that's really it for the resume optimization, or the resume match report. Once you kind of do that, you can make some changes here. You could do it right here in the program if you want to just do some quick changes, see how it's going to change your report, or go back to your resume, work on it, and then re-upload it would be another way to do that. If you have a premium account, you can also use this live score feature. And this allows you to kind of track your match report as you make some changes. So if I was in here and I was able to add documentation, you can see how it affects my match rate, and then that skill goes away. So that's a pretty cool feature if you're a premium user.
Let me ask you this, since you get this pulled up, how, like, where is my diminishing returns from a percentage standpoint? Should I fret about getting to exactly 100%, or is there, I mean, obviously the closer you get, the better,
Right.
but is there something I should be shooting for? Obviously 24 is not it.
Yeah, 24 is not it. I would have some work to do here if I was going to apply for this job. We generally advise to try to get to 80%. That's
Okay.
you know, our research has found that if you can get it to that level, you have a pretty good chance of getting contacted. But that's not going to be possible for everyone. Some people are, you know, we don't want you to be putting in skills that you don't have to get the match rate, right? So it's really, like you said, the higher you can get it, the better. Just try to push it as far as you can. But we do see some users kind of obsessing about trying to get that 100% or trying to get really high, and that's maybe not the best use of their time. They should be working on getting it up to 80 or as close as they can, and then moving on from there.
And I could see people stressing out about it.
Yeah, and that's certainly not what we want. We're just trying to help people make the best resumes possible. So yeah, but 80% is a good number to go for. Really, anything over 60% is going to be, you know, a pretty strong resume. That's it for the resume. We also have a LinkedIn option. You want to go over that now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
I mean, I just from what we've done, I can absolutely see why the resume writers that I've spoken with want to use your product. And I also get why people who are applying jobs would need to do this too. I mean, even if just for the ATS piece, because you can submit your resume online and it could go into a black hole and you could never know why. And this at least gives you an indication as to, look, improve these things and you got a better chance of getting through the ATS.
Yep, that's exactly it. So, you know, LinkedIn operates a lot of the same way. So, you know, LinkedIn, first of all, has its own applicant tracking systems if you apply for a job through LinkedIn. But even more so, you know, we want to encourage people to be passive candidates and bring recruiters right to them. So most recruiters are sourcing people on LinkedIn. What the LinkedIn optimization does, and you can get there by clicking here at the top if you're logged in. You can also, I'll show you what the homepage looks like if you're not logged in. So you can come here, you can see, you know, some stats and some information about why you want to be doing this. And then click here, scan my LinkedIn profile. That's at jobscan.co/LinkedIn-optimization. So if you're signed in here, the first step is going to be to link up your LinkedIn profile with Jobscan. I did this a while back, but I can, you know, click refresh here and do a quick sign in.
Simple.
Yep, and then that'll jump me to the next step. Now this part is a little bit tricky, and I think, you know, trip some people up sometimes. But the next thing we need is a PDF export of your profile. So LinkedIn allows anyone to download basically what is a resume based on your LinkedIn profile. So and this allows us to get to that work experience stuff like that doesn't come from the initial linking. So if you go to your profile. Here's my profile. It's going to be under this More button underneath your name and title, and then just save to PDF. So once we have that, we're going to come back to Jobscan and hit Upload LinkedIn Export, and just grab it from our downloads here. And Jobscan takes a second to parse that information, plugs it in, and then we're ready to continue on. We have all the information we need at this point from your profile. So click next. Then similar to the resume scan, we want to pick some jobs that we want to compare our LinkedIn profile to. So this is a little different because when you do your resume, you're trying to match for a very specific job, right?
Right.
Whereas on LinkedIn, you're trying to attract recruiters from certain fields and industries. So we want to add, you know, at least 3 different jobs in kind of your field that you want to get into, to get kind of a wide section of the types of skills recruiters might be looking for. So it's the same kind of deal. You can just paste in the job description here. We also have some of your previous scans, whether it's from your resume or LinkedIn on the right here. So you can just, you know, click a few different jobs there. So I have 3 different content jobs, and then just click scan. And this will bring us to the LinkedIn optimization match report, very similar to the resume version. You see, I'm doing a lot better here on LinkedIn than I was with my resume.
Works super fast too.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, and we're, you know, making improvements every couple weeks here to increase that speed. So So similar to the resume match report, you can kind of see a brief overview here at the top. And then we run through some checks, some basic things, make sure you have your name in there, obvious profile picture. Location is a big one that people can leave out or block because, recruiters are going to be searching in a specific area. If you're not in that area, they don't, won't see you as being worth the trouble. And then also specifying your industry is helpful. Some of these high impact areas down here, this is going to include, making sure you have a good headline. And what makes a good headline means you're, using all the characters that are available to you. You've got the job titles that you want in your headline. If at all possible, it's really important for the LinkedIn search algorithms. And then also, not using too many special characters. It could be, I know people have different views on whether to use, stars and emoji and things like that. But not having too many of those so it's not distracting or tacky or just in poor taste. Okay. Beyond that, and then you can see here we have some examples of some real LinkedIn headlines that might be useful. And then we move on to the profile summary. I get a red X here, mostly because I am not using enough of the 700 plus characters that are available. So I have a short summary, which means I'm not, using as many keywords. I'm not describing myself as well as I might otherwise be able to. So we go down a little further. We have the work experience check. This is just making sure that you are filling that out. A lot of people, when they're new to LinkedIn, they'll have their most recent position. That's just about it, or they won't be adding additional information about those jobs. So this checks to make sure you have, at least your last 3 jobs. Short-term dates is good because if you have a 3-month contract that you did, for example, and you don't label it some way, then it just looks like you had to leave your job after 3 months, which not the greatest thing. Some recruiters are going to have job hopping fears, things like that. So labeling those is good.
So let me, if I can, just on that one, should I put contract in the job title or just in the description for the role?
We advise to put it in the job title. So
okay.
If it was, content manager, parentheses, contract, or 3-month contract, something like that. Just again, as we talked about with the resume, some of our focus is on making sure things are as crystal clear as possible for recruiters, so that they're not having to second guess anything. They're not worried unnecessarily. So that's something we advise. Job title match is a big one. Again, your work experience is key to the LinkedIn search algorithm, as is the headline and summary. So making sure you have that title in there, if at all possible, is good. Again, measurable results, those accomplishments, showing how you provided value, what you did, what you accomplished, rather than just your daily duties. And we have some examples there again. And then as we scroll down a little further, we have, get to our skills section again. This is very similar to the resume match report. So you can see, I have a lot of these key skills here. I'm doing pretty good. There's a few that I should try to add in if I want these specific jobs. So AWS, this was for, I think one of those example jobs was an Amazon position. So if I want to work at Amazon, I should probably figure out a way to get AWS into my profile. Content creation, writing content, some different variations. Some of these other hard skills, CMS would be really smart for me to have. That's a content management system, HTML coding, things like that. So very similar to the resume guide, just making sure you can put these into your profile and then, get a few more hits from recruiters. And then there's also an education check here, making sure that you have added your education if you have it. And then we have a few more insights and tips and tricks at the bottom, making sure you have a customized URL, your connections.
I am amazed at the number of people who don't have a vanity URL and who still use the 7 or 8 digit number code at the end of their profile. It still just blows my mind. But
yeah, LinkedIn's gotten a little better at it. I think by default they add your name and then put that hash at the end rather than just having it be that gobbledygook to begin with. So that's good, but it is better to customize your URL with your name or your field, something like that. And if we have time, I have one other thing I want to show. It's not really related to this necessarily, but it can kind of drive that home.
Okay.
So if you go to your LinkedIn profile and you scroll down to your
Like
dashboard here.
I'm gonna do this while this is going. I'm gonna do it over here.
Sure. So yeah, if you
All
go
right.
to your profile and you go to your dashboard, you can see something that says a number of search appearances. And if you don't have any search appearances, that's a good sign that you don't have these keywords in your profile. But if you
Okay.
click on this, and I'll just show you mine, but you can see, what companies were searching for found your profile via a search, what positions. You can see I have a few recruiters looking at my profile. But then most importantly, here at the bottom, you can see some of the combinations of skills and stuff that they put into those search fields to find your profile. And this shows, how recruiters search. They might search for combinations of job titles and hard skills to find their perfect candidate. So this is just an example to show that, why we're looking at these different job descriptions and finding the different skills that are in those descriptions and peppering them through our profile to make sure that we'll come up for those recruiter searches if we're job searching.
Yeah, it's funny. One that always comes up for me every time I go look at that is Scrum Master. Every time. It must be an in-demand, because I used to be a certified Scrum Master, so it must be an in-demand role right now because it comes up a lot.
Yeah, it really is. I've seen that in more and more job descriptions as well. So yeah, if you were looking for that job, you'd be in good shape.
Just to tap onto that or tag onto that, it's also doing that is a good way for you to go and to find companies that that have found you. And for whatever reason, they either didn't reach out to you or whatever, but you can go to those companies and find out what they are hiring for.
Yep, that's a great approach. If you found that you come up for those companies, see if they have a job that does match, and then you can apply directly at the point if you didn't get the message from a recruiter. And
Right.
good way to kind of increase your chances there.
Well, the other thing you can do too, just I guess other tips, right? Not only go to the company, but then search for people who work at that company. And go connect with them, especially if from what you said before, like, you saw there were recruiters who were looking for you. If you can find the recruiters at some of those companies and go connect to them, they're going to, and then I think there's also another thing where you can say who's looked at my profile. So you could quickly match up who from what company is looking for you or looked at your profile, I should say. And then you can go connect directly with those people. And now you're talking, and now you've got a lead in. You could say, hey, by the way, I noticed you were looking at my profile, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to connect.
That's a great use for it.
That's cool.
So that's really it. Do you have any questions about anything with the resume or the LinkedIn?
No, I tell you what I've played around with the system, obviously before we got on the call today. What I like about it is a few things. One, it's very simple to use. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how to make this thing work for you. You're very, copy, paste, click a few buttons, and, you make these improvements, and you can really get the number of people who viewed your profile to shoot up. And who knows, that's the thing that people, when I talk to them, especially about LinkedIn, they don't see the value in it, but yet a profile view from the right person could turn into an opportunity for you that you didn't know existed.
Right. So yeah, we at Jobscan, we want to see people, optimize their chances for specific jobs. But even more than that is making sure you're just in the way of other opportunities that are coming by that you might not have seen otherwise. And that is a really great way to speed up your job search, stumbling into opportunities that you didn't even know were there.
Yeah, I love the fact that you pull out keywords. There's skills here, but they're also keywords. And a lot of people that I work with if we're doing a resume update or a LinkedIn profile update, they struggle to know what their keywords are. And in most cases, that's because they don't know who their target audience is or who they're trying, where they're looking for their next role, if you will. And this is a great way to get some of those keywords out that companies are looking for. And then I think down under tips and tricks on this one, if you scroll back down, content share. We recommend you periodically share content. So now think if you take the section above skills and you write an article about, pick one of the ones you're missing here, according to the scan, right? You pick about CMS and you write an article about your experience with CMS, or you write an article about how you can use CMS to do this, or a comparison of two CMS systems. you know, not only, I mean, you're doing two things, right? You're talking your audience's language, which are three things: talking your audience's language, you're getting your keywords out there, and you're posting. If you look at it that way, it can give you a roadmap on how to produce content, how to and update your profile, of course. So it's
Yeah. And
super
producing
helpful.
content on LinkedIn is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's very common advice, you know, in people in our field, but some people don't know how to approach that. And the thing is, you know, whatever your field is, you've noticed some things, you have a certain level of expertise, and you don't have to go out and try to be an influencer per se, but just share those insights and using these types of reports to see the things that are most important to your job, because you take them for granted too. So, you know, being able to really see the list of what is going to be most important, and just talking about those in posts and adding them to your profile, it's a great way to, you know, increase engagement and get out there a little bit.
Yeah, super, super cool. John, thank you very much. I loved it. I think it's a great product. I think everybody should be using it, especially if you're getting ready to apply for a job, or better yet, even if you think someday in the future you might want to apply for a job. At least right now, go and use it for LinkedIn and get your profile ready to go, so that when people come and look for you, they're finding the things that you want them to find. Thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. I like this product a lot, and I highly encourage anybody who's watching this, first, go back and listen to the podcast with James and I, but B, go to jobscan.co and check this product out. You will not regret it.
Thanks so much, Ryan. The pleasure was absolutely all mine.